Welcome to 6'5 Guys. Hi, I'm Steve Lawrence.
And I'm Ed Mobley.
Today we have something special for you. We have with us Anette Wachter, also known online as 30 Cal Gal.
And there was a salute.
A loud noise.
There was a salute for you.
So today we're at the Upper Nisqually Sportsman's Club shooting range to get in a little bit of practice, tactical long-range precision course offered through Precision Tactical Solutions, Scott Satterley's teaching class. And we're also taking the opportunity to introduce you guys to Anette. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about kind of how you got into this particular discipline.
I had never heard of it before. As you know, I'm a long-range shooter, Palma, so we shoot at the same bullseye target, same distances no matter where in the world we are. But it's the long distance and the wind reading that I loved. Yep. And when I found out there was a little bit more tactical side to a long-range precision rifle shooting, I jumped all over it. So I started in 3-gun, and that kind of helped me get a feel for shooting under pressure and timing in different positions, and then that helped to carry over into this game as well. So I'm still learning a lot. That's why we're here today, or I'm here today for this clinic.
Yeah, I mean, so you're quite accomplished in the sports of Palma and high power, and you know, folks can go to 30 Cal Gal and learn about that. But what we're really interested here is, as you've made that transition to precision long-range rifle, what do you find transitions well, and where have you found yourself having to relearn things or change the way you do things?
It is it's shooting under a time limit and having to move around in different positions and understand. Actually, the number one thing is that you have to know how to game the game, and how you approach each stage and what your strategy is going to be. Like I said, I'm used to just having the same format every time I step up to the line. So this is completely different, and that's the learning curve. That's where I try to watch the more experienced shooters and see how they prepare and how they know the different positions and the props that they can use to help themselves. And that's a big part of it.
And so clearly you have a time limit in Palma and high power, but those are kind of like bookends, right?
Right.
You don't feel stress from that.
No.
People typically don't time out, is what you're saying.
Correct, yeah. Normally a 20 shots for record is in 20 minutes. So if the conditions are relatively calm, you can crank out the rounds pretty quickly and be done in 8 minutes. If the conditions are really windy and you take your time, you can max it out to 20, but you still can use as much time as you want in between each shot. So
Now, of course, you are very accomplished and have a number of achievements in Palm and high power and other shooting disciplines. As you looked at coming into the tactical long-range precision game and making that journey up the learning curve, what are the things that you're finding out? What are the things that you feel are really different that are important to know, particularly for newcomers to this discipline?
As far as equipment or just strategy of shooting?
Yeah, of learning, of gaining the skills to be effective.
Again, I think it's practicing positions, shooting on barricades, around barricades, under barricades, through, and the timing. You know, it's a lot. It's a little bit of everything. It's bolt manipulation and getting that right position in or around a barricade that's stable, and learning the different tools you can use, like the Weebad bags or extra little cushions here and there. I mean, that's a huge learning curve. So.
And you know, I would imagine that, you know, what you learn to achieve really steady positions and offhand, kneeling, sitting, I would imagine that's pretty transferable.
Yeah, that has helped a lot. Just understanding the breathing and the stability, and that's really made a big difference. And kneeling and seated has really, that stuff has all helped a lot in this game.
Yeah, and some of those positions, we're seeing them introduced now into the practical rifle matches, standing, kneeling, and sitting. And, you know, traditionally those positions haven't been practiced in precision rifle.
Right.
So I would imagine.
I love it.
You really like that, right?
I do. Well, and the offhand's a little bit. I mean, these rifles are twice the length of what I'm shooting in high power. For across the course, we just have the AR.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you have a lot more swaying with this rifle, but the concept of that position shooting is I like it.
The fundamentals don't really change.
No.
So, on gear, tell us a little bit about kind of the gear that you're using. The rifle, any kind of accessories, things that you find they're really effective in terms of what you're doing and what you're using.
Well, I'm learning as I go, so I'm just kind of accumulating as I watch other people too. Right now, I'm shooting an H&H Precision. Starting this year, I had a 308 last year, and this year we're stepping it up a little bit and trying out a 6 SLR.
Nice. Yep.
Incredible, a quarter of the wind used to in those long distances. What do let's see. I'm also trying out a polygonal barrel by Black Hole Weaponry out of Oregon. So far, so good. It seems very accurate. I haven't really put it through the tests of an actual match and long distances and things like that. So, what else do I have in there that I love?
And those polygonal barrels are very interesting, and we'll provide a link here to Black Hole barrels, and those seem very innovative.
Yeah, and I used those barrels on my ARs for 3-gun, and the long range precision is a little bit newer for them, so they're just developing these. So it's kind of fun to test it out. I'm using a Leupold Mark 6. It's got a Horus reticle, and that was an experience at first. I'm an iron sight girl, so to go to scopes and then have that much stuff going on in the reticle was a learning curve, but I love it. And so now that I understand it, it's been really nice.
Yeah, I use a Horus reticle as well, and I'm a fan.
I love it. Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about cartridges. I mean, you have a lot of experience with the 308, but if somebody made the decision that, hey, I really want to get into practical shooting, would you say start with a 308 and experience all the fun you can have with the wind, or just go straight to a flatter shooting caliber?
Go straight to a flatter shooting caliber.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, why? It is. It's fun to shoot a 308, and it is a challenge to learn how to read the wind. But if you have the opportunity to just go straight to the
the flatter,
yes, I mean, why not?
Right.
Make it easier on yourself.
Now, of course, you shoot a number of disciplines: 3-gun, pistol, long range, tactical long range precision. How do you divide up your time in terms of training and how you allocate? I'm sure you're quite busy as everyone else, but how do you make those judgments in terms of where you spend your time? Palma is my number one. I'm a member of the U.S. team, so I obviously need to give them first priority. And when that is taken care of, I will schedule some of the precision matches in between. I'm still waiting actually to find out if I make the World Championship team for next year. So that will also determine my schedule for next year. If I make the squad, I will have to spend more time obviously with that. And I still have some precision and 3-gun scheduled, but it may not be as much as I'd wanted because I don't want to take that away from the U.S. team things. So.
In your training, both with your current precision long range and Palma and everything you've done, have there been certain challenges that you've had to overcome? Just like just like sometimes you find yourself really good at something, sometimes you find out, hey, this is an area I've really got to improve on. So were there areas like that, and what were they, and how did you get over that?
For precision?
Be it precision or Palma, just something that you found to be transferable across all the disciplines, or maybe just in Palma there's a particular thing you had to overcome.
I think a lot of it's trigger time. You need to get out there and do every match you can possibly go to. And practice is one thing, but a match really puts you to the test. You have the stress. You might have time limits that you need to worry about for precision. It's a completely different mental game, and so it's a matter of trigger time. As many matches as you to get to. Even if it is a local match, you still have the pressure of being in the game and competing.
So I'm big on mindset in terms of in a match, right? How do you kind of maintain that focus, particularly if you're on a stage, you don't do as well? I mean, how do you recover from that?
Yeah.
How do you prepare mentally for a match to kind of be at the top of your game?
For Palma especially, I actually the night before I will actually go through mentally in my head the entire process of walking up to the line, putting my gear on, looking down range at the targets, and just I mentally picture every step, putting all my stuff on, getting down in position, round in the chamber, firing. Imagine that round going into the X ring. Target goes down, it comes up, marks as an X. So I have to mentally picture that, and I'll do it again as I'm walking up to the line at the match, and I just somehow I've learned to tune things out around me, and you just kind of get into your little zone, your A zone, I guess you could call it.
Yep.
The bubble, I think Carlos has called it.
Yeah, there are times when I will actually come off the line and I don't even remember what just was going on the last 20 minutes, So it's just, you have to just fine tune your brain to just see what's going on downrange.
Now, I've also seen on your blog that you hand load, and so how long have you been hand loading?
I should say, how long has my husband been hand loading for me? But no, he's.
Hey, there's nothing wrong. Hey, sometimes you have to you have to outsource these things. That's completely acceptable.
He's sort of now that I.
How long have you been taking credit?
Right.
For Charles's work?
For the last couple of years, he's said, "This is your job now." So now that I know what to do, he's sort of handed it off to me. So probably the last couple of years, I've taken over a lot of that myself. But we both shoot, so we both prep everything together, and we sort of have a little assembly line going, and we are trying to get the same equipment and calibers for everything we shoot, so we don't have 20 different loads to do.
Yep. And you could trade dope and stuff like that.
Yes.
And everything. And as far as equipment, I noticed you've got a Forster Press. Which I have. Tell me a bit about that and what you like about it.
It's it's kind of the Cadillac of presses. It's from what I have been using, it's great quality. We've never had any issues with it. It's a great press. I don't know.
I mean, how about concentricity? Have you noticed improvements in concentricity using the Forster Press?
To be honest, like I said, I get put on the assembly line and off I go.
No worries.
I can pull a trigger very well.
Let's talk a little bit about kind of training. You talked about kind of time allocation. Do you have any specific training or drills that you go through, particularly in sort of the tactical long-range precision game, stuff that you're working on right now?
Yes, it's just, so if I'm told what the stage is, for instance, we have to shoot 3 different targets at different distances off the barricade, I will just try to mentally, obviously I need to memorize my distances and decide ahead of time if I'm going to actually dope or if I'm going to just hold off. But I just try to rehearse my strategy over and over again, so when I get up there, I don't think about that part too much, except for maybe just the positions and things.
Now, your husband Charles introduced you to shooting.
Yes.
So how long have you been shooting?
2005 when I started High Power. 2006, somewhere in there.
And so I know a lot of guys that would love to have their girlfriends or wives start shooting.
I know.
So what would you suggest to the guys out there who want to get their gals shooting? And then what would you also suggest to the gals so that they could,
Good question.
really start enjoying that?
No, it's true. He introduced me to it, and he said, please give it 1 year. And if you hate it, I understand. And it did take me a good year, because in the Northwest, you're shooting outside in conditions that are not ideal. So I would wake up many times and go, it's too icky out there, I'm not going. I don't know, for the guys, introduce it to the girlfriends or wives as this is something we can do together, and I would really love to do this with you. Maybe a little bit of bribery in there as a spot at the end of the day or something, nice dinner. And for the women, just give it a try. And it is something that I just find so valuable. I mean, it is something that we can do together, and we can travel together and do this. Granted, I love buying shoes, and I will always buy shoes, but the fact that he loves the fact that I'd rather have a gun than some of those things, and at Christmas time, a rifle under the tree is just as nice as a bauble under the tree. So.
And I know the guys out there, they've got their notepads out, and
that's just me.
They're taking notes right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the shooting sports tend to be male dominated.
Yeah.
Well, maybe dominated is not the right word, but mostly guys. I mean, as you look forward, do you see more women getting into the sport? Do you see it becoming a little more diverse?
Yes. There are a group of women. In fact, I don't know many from the Northwest too much, but across the country that I've gotten to know who are shooting the precision matches, and we are now making a point to try to come to the same matches together. Regina Milkovich, she's down in Phoenix or in Arizona, and they have a match coming up in March, and so she's made a point to get as many women to come to this as possible, so we can actually have a decent category and we can shoot together, and it's a little bit less intimidating to have more women around. That's
is that the PRS match?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that one's already filled up. Darn it.
Yeah, it is. But there's a wait list. So, and for instance, we just had the first ever ladies 3-gun pro-am. It's different than the precision.
It was in Atlanta, right? Just recently.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I thought there was maybe you could count on two hands how many women 3-gunners were. There were 200 women that showed up, and some had never even fired a match before. So it was really neat to see. And they all just had an amazing time and were able to not be pressured or not feel intimidated.
And that's really what it's about,
Yeah.
I think, because, if you tie your enjoyment to how you place, right, I think just a recipe for coming away not feeling very good.
Yeah.
And the point is to really enjoy yourself, enjoy the people you're with,
Right.
and if you score well, great.
Right. But even so, I've been the only woman at a match before, and there's 75 to 100 guys, but everyone is so friendly, and they want you to have a good time. They encourage you to come out there. So I've never really been intimidated by that. And
So if I hear you right, I mean, we'll probably see a critical mass of women getting involved in the sport, and then maybe that will be a bit of the game changer. Get just more folks involved in it.
Now, for the folks that may not be familiar with your online persona, 30 Cal Gal, can you tell us a little bit about kind of your blog, what you share out on there, and what was the genesis behind that?
So 30 Cal Gal, it started off just more of a, blogs were starting to become trendy, and then I was also, I was trying out for Top Shot.
Okay, yep.
The very first season of that, and I just started to write a blog. It was more of a diary for me. It was I didn't really realize anyone would read it, and then it just turned into a blog about my adventures of shooting and getting better into the Palma and how I actually made the team, and then I started reviewing products, and then it just sort of grew into. So it's about my adventures of shooting, all the competitions, and recently even politics. Who knew I would get into that? But so that's sort of where that started. Yeah. And I have to give my husband credit for the name 30 Cal Gal. He came up with that one for me. So
okay. And what's the URL for that for the folks that may want to visit that?
30calgal.com, 30calgal.com.
Okay. So on the political front, I understand that you testified before the legislature in Washington State.
I did.
How did that feel? I mean, you talk about going to a match and being nervous. What was that like?
That was, so they, the West Coast NRA representative called me up the day before and said, can you come out to Olympia tomorrow and give a 90-second spiel on the opposition to 594? And Okay. Yeah, and you don't realize you get up there, and this was Gabby Giffords was in town with her husband Mark Kelly, and the media was there. There must have been 100 reporters and cameras in the rooms, and it was a little bit nerve-wracking. But I was actually the only one who did it off the top of my head and not from a script. So I looked him right in the eye. It was an experience. It was neat.
Great.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you only started shooting in 2005. Did you have any shooting experience prior to that?
No, I mean, except maybe for some tin cans out in the woods with ex-boyfriends back in the day. That was about it. So nothing.
And well, number one, I'm surprised you have ex-boyfriends since you like shooting. But hey, good for Charles. Good for Charles, right? And so, I mean, what is it? What I mean, that illustrates to me that you can get into shooting at any point in your life.
Yeah.
And be really good at it, right?
Yeah, I had no idea. I don't know, maybe I have a lucky natural talent for this, but yeah, Charles handed me an AR for Christmas and said, okay, for the next year, I'll take you out to these matches. And, you know, he showed me the basic fundamentals of the match, of the positions and the rules of the game, but kind of threw me out there. He didn't, you know, significant others don't make the best coaches sometimes. It's best to let a third party. Yeah, so he let the other shooters out there sort of give me hints or any tips I needed. So I was sort of self-taught, and you just got to throw yourself out there.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can talk a little bit about sponsors. So as you've progressed as a shooter, you were actually able to get some sponsorship to offset some of the costs of what is a fairly expensive sport, or can be. Can you tell us a little bit about your sponsors and what they're doing for you?
Sure. Well, I started off, I mean, it's easy at some point to get product. You could get product all day long. It seemed what was coming to me quickly. But now I'm shooting so much and I want to represent these sponsors so well. You know, when you travel, that's what kills you, the cost of expenses. This year, and so I've been working hard, first of all, to return the favor or the thank you for the sponsors. So I write about them constantly in my blogs and brag about it on Facebook. You guys know how much I'm on Facebook. So I'm trying to make it worth their while to sponsor me. And I've had great feedback from them in the last year, that they've appreciated what I've done, and they've noticed actually people coming to them saying, I heard from 30 Cal Gal that your product does this. So that makes me feel good. So I can go forward, and if I do feel I want to approach other sponsors, I can do that. My big ones right now are ESS, the iPro. I'm not wearing it right now. Leupold, Nosler. Let me think here.
Well, you have
AccuGrip. Actually, they've been really great. So, and my new 3-gun, H&H, which is this precision rifle. My 3-gun rifles are by Devil Dog Arms out of Chicago. I've got quite a few products after that, but those are the big ones that have been really helping me go forward.
Awesome. Well, Annette, we really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us here this morning.
I loved it.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube channel.
Well, folks, remember, life's an adventure.
Stay on target.